Sleeves here with the Senior Pickleball Report powered by TNC Network. Let's get it going. Okay, folks, today we talk to Ed Bzer, the namesake behind one of the coolest innovations in pickleball training, the Bzer ball. But before we get to that conversation, if you like this content, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out all the links in the description for discounts. Check out our newsletter. Check out our merch page. Check out our new website. All right, let's get to that conversation with Ed.
Folks, welcome Edward Bzer to the Senior Pickleball Report. Welcome, Ed.
Thanks, Sleeves. Glad to be here.
Yeah, obviously you and I have corresponded for a while, and I've used your product, which we'll get into in a minute here, which is pretty innovative and great for hand-eye coordination, great for warming up. But before we get into all that, we have to find out how you got into this wild wiffle ball game that everybody's seems to be playing of late. So give us your story. How did this sport capture your heart?
Well, I retired about at 60 years old and was getting kind of bored, didn't have a lot of activity going on. And so I wanted to become more active. And so I called, I live in Murray, Utah, a suburb of Salt Lake. And there's a senior center there. And they sent me an email saying, hey, we just opened up 2 brand new courts right behind our pickleball courts, right behind our building. Come sign up now. And I was already a member. I rarely went. And all of a sudden I went. I said, well, I'm going to look into this. So I show up at the pickleball court, and it was so much fun right off the bat. And everybody playing with a bunch of seniors like me, a bunch of old guys, and I loved it. And we're all having fun. They made me feel so welcome that I just kept coming back. I don't know if at first it was probably for the community and getting to know some people, but then I found out, hey, I'm pretty good at this sport. I'm digging this, and I just fell in love with the sport. And started playing 4 or 5 times a week, a couple hours at a time. And then from the Murray, senior center, I kind of started branching out and going to some neighborhood parks and doing pickup games. And because, we were always playing with the same people. So then I said, I'm going to try, see how, test myself a little bit, get out of my comfort zone. And went to a park nearby here that's always busy, has 6 courts, and they're always busy. Little intimidated at first, but I got there and I go, I can hold my own with these guys. So that's where I started to go now, because it was bigger courts and more people to play with. And then I went on to an indoor court after when the weather turns bad here, and just fell in love with the sport.
So what year was this that it all kind of started?
It started, well, it was 6 years ago. So 2019 is when it started for me. And
pre-COVID for you.
Pre-COVID for me, yeah. And during COVID, it just really blew up. But it was pre-COVID, but there were already, about 12 seniors playing at this place, and so there was always a lot of people to play with. So there was always, fun games, and it was just a fun community. But yeah, it was about 2019.
Wow, yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but 2019, you're sort of an OG because. Mm-hmm. The big push was during COVID, where I think I've talked to well over 100 people, and I asked them all this question, and probably 70-80% of them started sometime during COVID. So to be pre-COVID, man, you're a trendsetter.
Yeah, but it was still popular then. I mean, now it's blown up. But the Murray Park is where I play a lot outdoors, those 6 courts. And I bumped into a friend of mine at the grocery store, and I haven't started playing there yet because the weather here is still inconsistent. But she goes, Ed, if you go there like on a Saturday morning, you better be there by 6 o'clock. Or you can't get on the court. And I went, because they've got lights, so they turn them on even if it's a little dark. And she said the courts are full by 6. So and I walked over there one time, and yeah, she was right. The lines, it's getting a little crazy. So I'll still go there, but it's getting really crazy, they told me.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing thing to think about if you look back at how old this sport actually is. Kind of the mid 60s, and here we are 60 some years later, and it's one of those things where it seemed to lay somewhat dormant for a very long time. I know my wife was a PE teacher. She taught it like 20 some years ago, mainly because it was too hard to get kids to learn how to play tennis in PE. So they kind of went to this adaptive game, as we probably called it then. And then obviously, over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, holy cow!
Uh,
Like what's happened? I mean, obviously, you've jumped in with all the innovation and things like that, which we'll get into. But the things that have happened in this game, I don't know if anybody could see they saw it coming.
no, I didn't think it was going to blow up like this. And I mean, Utah is known for being a recreational state. We've got skiing in the winter,
Yes,
we've got hiking in the summer. So I think that lended to at least blowing up here because people just
right.
are very active up here. And it was just a sport that was easy. Again, COVID. But another thing that happened here is there's a lot of LDS churches here, and what they've done for their people is they've turned their basketball court. They started turning their basketball courts into pickleball courts in the wintertime
Oh,
back in 2019. So they were setting up indoor facilities, just makeshift ones, right off the bat. So there were a lot of courts available, and so I think that drew a lot of people in. Then in addition to COVID,
yeah,
but now they're opening up. Indoor and outdoor, as you know, indoor and outdoor locations all over the
yep,
country. But even in Utah, they go, "Oh, did you hear about this new one? Oh, did you hear about that new one?" And yeah, they're just popping up everywhere. I think even the county of Salt Lake County last year or so this year, they announced they were going to build 40 courts this year, just in the Salt Lake City proper, because it's just such a. They're going to either grow, open new ones, or convert, unfortunately, tennis courts into pickleball courts because they're just
right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you, I would argue Utah, Arizona, and Florida, are kind of the big three of where this sport has really just absolutely exploded. And if you go to any sort of events that I've heard in Utah, especially pro events, great turnouts. People are super enthusiastic. They love their pickleball in Utah. And obviously, you've taken some of that and created a product that is one of my favorites. I use it all the time, and I always get looks when I bring it out. Um, I don't tell people. Usually, my partner and I warm up with it, and then we start getting the looks, and they're like, "What is that?" So let's talk. I mean, it's one thing to get into this game. It's another thing to create a product and jump all in. So
yeah.
talk to me about the Bzer ball because this is fascinating.
Okay. Yeah. What happened was, again, I was kind of experimenting and stretching myself out and going to different locations to play. But I wanted to keep getting better. I wanted to improve my game. So
Right.
I hired a coach. And this was probably about 4 to 5 years ago. And one day he pulls out of his bag. We met once a week, and he pulls out of this bag this little rubber ball. It didn't look anything like the Beezer, but it was just a little
Yeah.
rubber ball. And we started warming up and drilling with it. And then we transitioned back to the regular ball. And I had like when we were describing what happened, what the feeling you get when you transition back, I had this wow moment, like, whoa, the regular ball is moving slow. It looks huge like a beach ball. It's easier to hit. And my coach, that immediately said, "Hey, Ed, that little ball I don't know what it did to you, but it just kicked in and yours playing so much better." And so I kept using that little rubber ball, even at home against my wall, and I just kept warming up and drilling with it. And then other players started to notice, and they said I was starting to, I was a 3-5 player, and I started kicking 4-0 players' butts, and everybody noticed. And so what I did. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in the restaurant, food, and beverage industry my whole life, and this little entrepreneur part of my brain kicked in and said, "Hey, is there a mini training pickleball that's made just for pickleball that looks just like
Right.
pickleball, but most importantly, does it bounce like a pickleball?" And we couldn't find anything. We even did a patent research with an attorney. There was nothing out there. So I jumped in with both feet and said, "Okay, if there isn't one out there, this works." Even my wife told me, "Does this work?" And I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, if you don't create it, somebody else will stumble upon it
Right.
and create it." So she goes, "Yeah, you're 67 years old, but do it." And so we
Yeah.
jumped in, and so it took over a year of designing exactly what it wanted to look like on black and white, and involved a production company that was helping me design it, and they would send me drawings and renderings with looked like blueprints almost, with what we
Yeah.
were trying to get it to look like, with the size and the number of holes, and okay, now it looks right. Now let's make some prototypes, and we went through that whole process. And they would send me prototypes every one or two a month or so, and I'd try and go, this has too many holes in it. Oh, this is too soft. Oh, now it's too firm, and we narrowed it down. And then they had to make the tooling to mass produce it, and then they had to, the first runs of the tooling didn't work quite right, and they had to fine tune that. And finally, in December of 2023, so only about a year and a half ago, I opened up this box and from them, and it had the Bzer in it. And so we took it to the court, and we go, yeah, you can dink with it. Oh, you can volley, firefight, and we even then we thought, let's try serving with it. And we weren't even expecting it to work, but it works even if you're practicing your serves and returns,
Yeah.
and so it does everything. And so we launched, and we're selling now just on the internet and Amazon, our website. But the cool thing is, people will send us video, just out of the blue. We don't even ask them to. They're sending us and posting on their own Instagrams video
Right.
of their friends using it. And then when we do live demos, it always turns into a full court game. And the same thing you said, people see it and they go, what are they doing? What are they hitting? Because we found that about 9 out of 10 people, we even talk to them about the ball or even show them the ball, they go, oh, that looks cute. Oh, I've never heard of that. Oh. Then I go, here, and they don't know. And so I hand it to them, and they tap it on their paddle, and they go, whoa, this feels good. I've got control. And one of the cool things, is because it's rubber, it's so quiet. And
Right.
that's why I can do it in my living room. I can do wall drills in my living room, basement, garage, and I'm not driving my family, my friends crazy with the noise. And no one even has to know I'm doing it or practicing with it. It's kind of like my secret weapon. But we want to let the secret out. But that's
Right.
kind of how we stumbled across the idea, and how we went through the process and time. We didn't want to rush in and do something that we were looking for the bounce. It
Right.
had to have the
Yeah.
bounce,
Yeah.
and
That's an important thing.
so we didn't settle until we had the bounce.
Yeah, and I think you've hit it right on the head. You said two important things. One, B, you just mentioned it, is it can look as great as you want, but if it doesn't have the feel and the touch and the relatively same height of the bounce, then it's not really going to be something that's worthwhile. The other thing I think, which you pointed out, and I've always talked to people who come on this show and have created something like you have, is the process, because people will see, you're right, like, they will see something like this and they'll go, oh, that's cute and that's simple. Why didn't I think of that? And why didn't I manufacture that? And then you start to tell them the amount of time, hours, energy, failures, money that go behind something like this. And then they go, oh, that's why I didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. A big part of it was a leap of faith. When we knew
Yeah.
it worked. I knew it worked. It worked for me. And Ivan was teaching a friend of mine and how to play pickleball, and
Yeah.
I pulled it out for her, and said, hey, try. And she even said, wow, this is really helping my game, because you have to focus so hard on this to see
Yeah.
this and hit this little thing, that you don't even realize that you're training your brain to see it, something that small, and then you give your brain something big to hit, and it just makes it easier, and you'll just see immediate improvement. But you're right. The process was I was naive at the time too. When I came up with the idea, I thought, oh, this will take maybe 3 to 6 months, and we'll be on the market. Year year and a half later, we finally got
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, yeah, you've mentioned it. Like when you play with this and you warm up with this, for me, it's yeah, like you mentioned the beach ball. It's like hitting a grapefruit after you're done with this. You pull out a regular ball, and you can't believe the regular ball ever gets by you somehow, because this is so quick and so small, and you got to focus. And then you pull out a regular ball, and it feels clumsy to have the big ball. You're like, no, this is just some big bulky thing, and and we play games with this in my group, and people love to play actual games with it.
Yeah, we find that all the time, and we've even had a couple of our avid followers of the Bzer, and they've actually put on tournaments just with just the bees.
Wow.
They go, "We're going to put on a Bzer ball tournament," and so
Yeah.
they've even done tournaments with it, and they send me video, and everyone's laughing and having fun. I mean, everyone loves the sport anyway, but they're just cracking up and just having a ball with it. And you're right, and then they transition back, and one of the videos that somebody sent us, they transitioned back from using ours to the regular ball, and the guy's hitting the ball. He goes, "I feel like I'm Ben Johns. Nothing's getting by me today," like you mentioned. So I go,
Yeah.
so it really does
Exactly.
work.
And
Yeah.
then obviously, you create a little holder for it, which is awesome because it's nice to have the pack you send, but then if you can hang it outside your bag, other people see it, you see it, it's accessible. It reminds you that, oh, I can warm up with this.
Yeah, the Bzer bag clip. We just came up with this idea just within the last 3 months, and
Yeah.
we launched this just a couple months ago, and yeah, we're getting is when I was talking to people that would buy the ball, I go, how's it going? How do you? They go, oh, it's it's in the bottom of my bag somewhere, and I pull it out every once in a while when I'm in the mood or when I think about it. But then we invented this, and this Beezer back clip already is accounting for 30% of our sales because of that.
Wow.
People, it's easy to just click it on your bag.
Yep.
A buddy of mine in South Carolina called me and said, I sent him one for free, and he called me back and said, Ed, I've used the Bzer more in the last 10 days, the Bzer ball, than I have in the last 6 months because it's easy to find. It's right there. Constant reminder. Plus, people are asking, "What's that thing hanging on your bag? What are those? What is
Yeah.
that? Just those keychains? Is that just a decoration?" And then he pops one out and he goes, "Yeah, take a look. Let's try this." And they go, "Whoa, I
Yeah.
didn't know." And so yeah, people are really responding well to the bag clip.
Right on. So obviously, you got the ball, you got the bag clip. What's coming up? I mean, what are you working on? Anything else? You working on some marketing stuff? What's going on at Beezer right now?
Yet right now, our next phase is going to be trying to make some different colored balls because we have had requests for this ball to be in orange.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
because indoor, especially if you're playing on a converted basketball court, with the reflective light and everything, the green's a little harder to
Yeah.
see. So we're
Yeah.
definitely going to look into getting something made in orange. And we've had people ask us to get it. Hey, can you make it half one color, half another color, so I can see how my spin's doing? And
Oh,
working on my
wow.
spin. So that'll be probably the step after that. And we may even add other colors. We've had people, for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they said, "Hey, you ought to
Right.
make
Right.
one in pink." And I went to the University of Utah. Our colors are red and white. They go, "Hey, make a red and white one for the U." And then someone said, "Oh no, make a blue and white one for BYU." And so we thought maybe that's University of Utah is working with our ball. I gave them a
Okay.
supply, and their club
Yeah.
is. And also recently, the University of Nebraska asked me to join them, and so I've given
Yeah.
them some balls too. So we're looking at all the kinds of different ways to get the word out there because the thing is, if you've never seen it or heard of it or tried it, you have no idea what it is. And that's because it's a new
Right.
brand invention. And I
Yeah.
tell our marketers, I go, that are helping me on our internet things, they're trying to propose an ad. And I go, no, 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 guys, you're assuming people know what the Beezer is. I go,
Right.
I just say, for example, we haven't just invented a brand new shampoo. We have invented shampoo. And so
Yeah.
if you've never used shampoo, you've got to teach people why they should use it, how it's going to make their hair
Right.
do this, and how it's going to do this. You can't just put a bottle of shampoo in front of them and expect them to know how to use it. Same thing with this.
Yeah.
We can't expect to show them a picture of this and they go, you know. We did go to a trade show in Las Vegas, pickleball trade show, and we set up our balls on the table, and we had people walking by going, "Oh, that's just one of those keychain things," and
Yeah.
"Oh, that's just a little hard plastic one, golf ball that we've tried before."
Yeah.
And I stop them. I go, "No, here,
Yeah.
hold my paddle, just tap it." And just even tapping, you can feel the difference, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
hear the difference because of the noise. And then they started dinking with it in front of our booth, and over 50% of the people that actually touched it and tried it bought it on the spot. So that's our big challenge, is getting people just to try it because
Yeah.
they've never seen it. Like you said, you'll show up on a court and start playing with it. And people, what is that? What are you doing? We did the
Right.
same thing. we were at an indoor facility. I was there with a couple of buddies training with it, and we reserved our court. And pretty soon people were coming up and saying, "Hey, what is that?" And so one by one, they would come on the court, and pretty soon I backed myself off and let them play with the Bzer. And I started looking around at all the other indoor courts, and people were stopping and staring and pointing and whispering, "What is that? What are they doing? What, you know, but they're having fun. What is it?" And
Yeah.
so then I walk up to them and tell them, and then, you know, sell them some on the spot too. So it's,
Yeah.
and now we're getting people because people are starting to hear about it a little bit. We're even getting people wanting us to participate in events. In fact, this Saturday, I'm going over to the high school nearby, Murray High, and they're putting on a tournament. And they've invited me to. I'm donating prizes for the winners, but they
Sure.
said, "Hey, come set up your booth and let people touch it and try it." And so
Yeah.
I'm doing that. And I'm attending a grand opening of a new indoor facility here May 3rd. And they've done the same thing. They said, "We'll give you half a court. Come show people what this is." So we're starting to get that kind of thing rolling, which is great, because then I get a chance to talk and show and demo it. So because that's the big key.
Absolutely. And it looks like you're having the time of your life. And I don't want to like you know, push you too far in the future, but you know, Ed, you might have invented a new sport. I mean,
Well, that
I
is,
could see it down the road. Oh, yeah, I play pickleball. I'm also in a Bzer ball league, and I'm a, you know,
that was never my thought of anybody doing anything like that. Even when
well,
I
one
get
of
that's
those
why
guys thought that invented pickleball either. So,
yeah, I know. Probably, yeah, probably. They didn't think it was going to be. I mean, if they look at it now, yeah. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, you know, my goal is for every pickleball player to have a Bzer or two in their bag that they practice with either in their home or in the garage, and then go to the court, because then you're already keyed in. You're, you know, and you know, when you start off cold, it takes you a game or two to get your.
absolutely.
And but if you do it at home, you're already keyed up, and I can kind of sneak some wins on people because I've already got my brain's already kicked into this little ball. Um,
Yeah,
but I don't know where the future takes us. But I mean, like I said, I'd love every pickleball player to do it. I'd love everyone to think that they have, you know that they have to have one. Maybe, and like I said, I've already told you, and you've already mentioned there's, who knows, people could just start playing. It could just be a division. You know, I'm going to
it
play in the
could
Bzer
be.
division, and you know,
Yeah,
because it could
and
turn into
skinny
something like,
singles. Now there's Bzer.
yeah, exactly. Instead of skinny singles, let's do this. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's,
right.
and we've had, I know a handful of pros. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop any of them that have ordered.
Sure.
All right. And you're right. When you go to big events, professional events, the turnout here in Utah is huge.
Oh
So
yeah.
I went to this past summer, both the MLP and PPA played here, but I went and they were just very well attended. And I was at the PPA event, just mingling and watching people, some of the pros warm up, and I was wearing my Bzer shirt, and all of a sudden Zane Nappertil is warming up, and he looks up and sees my shirt, and he waves me over, and we introduce ourselves, and he goes, "Hey, Ed, you know, I love the Bzer. I bought 9 of them and I drill with them almost every day, but I hate chasing after all these balls." He goes, "Will you make me a deal if I order 100 of them?" And I said, "Absolutely, Zane." And the next morning, the order was waiting for me on my computer. It was that quick. And so he's
Yeah.
got some. And then I got an email, or got an order from a gentleman in Boca Raton, Florida. This guy named Ben Johns ordered 4
Oh
sleeves of
yeah.
this thing. And I looked up that name and I go, "Oh my God, Ben Johns wants it." And so that
That's
just,
awesome.
I was just going, "Well, how did he hear about it?" I've never had
Yeah.
it. You know, so it was just seeing his name, and there's been a few others locally. Local pros. Tyler Loon has used it.
Yeah.
Elise Jones,
Oh yeah.
Callie Joe Smith. They've all used it too. So
Fantastic.
it's inching its way in, and like some, we've got some college players, and then I'm even going after the young crowd.
Yeah.
I'm a sponsor for the National Junior Pickleball League series of tournaments, and in
Okay.
fact, later this morning I'm going to call with them, and they're putting on 8 tournaments around the country this year for just 13 to 18 year olds, and we're partnering with them and being one of their sponsors as well. And so that, so we and they're, so we're just trying to get the word out to everybody and anybody,
Yeah.
just because it works. That's the bottom line. It
Absolutely.
works, and it's a inexpensive training tool. I mean, you can
Yeah.
spend hundreds on different nets and ball returns and
Right.
and targets and different, even training paddles. But this is so easy and quick. I mean, grab it in your bag and like I said, if you got a blank wall somewhere in your house, you can just practice and do wall drills all day long.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Ed. I mean, you've created a fantastic product, and I think all the things you said are true. And the most important being, it's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just having when I see that's I get such a kick. I mean, it's such a kick when going from just a thought that I had and a feeling in my gut to actually watching people on the court laughing and giggling and having fun. I mean, I can't even explain it. I just feel so happy and I feel a little satisfied that look what I did.
Yeah.
Look what they're doing. Look at how much fun they're having. Look at this. Probably like how a comedian feels when they get the audience to bust up laughing after
Right.
telling a
Exactly.
joke, going, "Hey, I did
Yeah.
my job. I did my part." And so that's how I feel when I walk off the court when I see someone using it and having fun.
Fantastic. Well, Ed Bzer, the namesake of the Bzer ball, one of the men behind what I consider to be probably the best warm up tool I've seen thus far. Obviously the proof's in the pudding when you got Ben Johns ordering them. So thanks for coming on. Fantastic product. I am a true believer. I use it all the time. My mother, who has only vision of one eye and plays pickleball, she is spreading the gospel of this in her local group as well. So
Oh,
thanks for your time,
well,
Ed. We
thanks,
really
Lee. Thanks,
appreciate
your
it.
family. Thank you for helping us spread the word. I really appreciate it.
All right, hope you enjoyed our conversation today with Ed Bzer. Go out and get yourself some Bzer balls. These things are amazing. All right, folks, you know what to do at the end of the day. Hey, let's pickle.